Yeah, Lisa in the next weather tracker essentially is going to intercept that cell that's bringing the rough stuff. We'll give you a shot of 35 here. You can see how dark it is on the upper right-hand corner of the screen there. Traffic moving along. Not a lot of cars out there, which really warms my heart. That means people are taking it seriously and hopefully left early. They're staying out of harm's way. This is our biggest severe weather outbreak so far this spring. And it's nice to see that a lot of people canceled activities after school, practices, all sorts of stuff. Better to be safe than sorry. I'm so happy to hear that kind of news. You got to take this stuff seriously. I want to show you the active tornado watch that's in the light yellow. It does include all the Twin Cities metro into western Wisconsin. You see this black line. Meteorologist Mike Augustinak drew that in there because earlier we had a tornado watch to the west that extended all the way to South Dakota. That one was in effect until 8 o'clock. It's expired because the line has now pushed to the east. Ours holds until 11. That will likely expire as well because these storms are moving at about 50 miles per hour. But you see embedded in the watch is where we see the tornado warnings, also where we see several severe thunderstorm warnings, and this is the area that's been favorable all day for such activity. Let's get a little closer to show you just this wall of lightning. Essentially, you can see the tornado warning areas in the red that are now Doppler indicated. We're still getting rotation, but nothing confirmed on the ground at this moment. Let me strip away the lightning. It's even hard to see the rainfall on there, but you can see Faribault, it is happening now for you. Waseca, it is pouring right now for you. Owatonna, you're next. New Richland, you're about to get some heavy rain as well. And the hail, fortunately, has been shrinking in its potential size down to pea size, so it will still hail likely, but nothing that would do any damage. Let's zoom in a little closer. This is one of the areas of rotation we're still keeping an eye on, just north of Waseca. That particular cell is heading toward the Faribault area, where I know many of our viewers live. So get down to a safe spot. We're still picking up rotation on that west of Owatonna, heading toward Faribault. Better to be safe than sorry. Head down to the safe place in your basement. Let's show you a traffic camera here right now, just to show you where it's pouring rain on 35 here. You see the flashes of lightning as well. Strong storms here in the metro, just some scattered showers as it's passing through, which is wonderful news. We'll keep tracking this into the night as long as we have to. We'll take you back to Frank and Amelia now.
All right. Thank you, Chris. And we want to go over again some important reminders of what to do during a tornado. If you are at home, go to a basement or an interior room. Stay away from the windows. You've heard us talking about that all evening. If you're outside, seek some indoor shelter. Sheds and storage facilities are not safe, so don't go there. If you happen to be driving, seek indoor shelter if you can. Low-lying ditch or get down and cover your head in the car.
There's some thunderstorm warnings as well. Keep in mind that straight-line winds can be as destructive as a tornado. You want to move inside. Again, stay away from windows. Keep in mind that sheds and storage facilities, they're not sturdy enough. They're not safe. If you're in a large open room like a cafeteria, a gym, or an auditorium, be careful of that. And then being in a vehicle is better than being outside. But if you are on the road, you want to get to the closest sturdy shelter as conditions allow and as rapidly as possible. Speaking of rapid, boy, this storm is really moving, Mike. I know you guys you're keeping a close eye on it. It's moving quickly.
Yeah, they're moving at about 40 to 50 miles an hour, which puts kind of the tail end of this severe weather threat through most of the state of Minnesota by about 9 or 9:30 and through the Twin Cities metro in the next 60 to 90 minutes. There has been very little to talk about in the immediate metro core, and we will take that 10 times out of 10, but there are still some showers that have popped up. It's thundering a little bit in the Farmington area. Let me talk a little bit about what may be happening. There are two things at play here. First of all, some of these thunderstorms have been ripped apart by just the amount of wind shear. That's a change in wind direction and speed with height. And the other thing that's happened is two areas of storms sort of popped around the Twin Cities, one to the north and west and one to the south and west. And some of that air that's blowing up on those strong southerly winds has been worked over. Essentially, all of the fuel has been sapped from that air as it makes it up toward the Twin Cities. And so as I run this forecast here, you can sort of see the reflection of that, right? That's that rain-cooled air as we go hour by hour through this thunderstorm fuel forecast that is keeping the big storms from forming here in the Twin Cities metro. And yet still, we have our eyes on southern Minnesota just to our south, a county to the south, where we have still plenty of fuel and plenty of wind shear. In fact, this severe thunderstorm has had a tornado warning on it off and on for the past hour and a half or so, and this little notch right here, just to the south of Faribault and likely to move between Faribault and Owatonna, crossing I-35 in the next 10 minutes, that's a strong indication that we could have a tornado coming down from this storm really at any time. Meteorologist Lisa Meadows is safely in this general area, and she has a report live for us from the next weather tracker. Lisa?
Hi, Mike. Yep, so we are south of that tornado warning that you see. We did get off of I-35 so that we were not going directly north into it, but we did end up going west. That's where we are. So we are by Medford, just south of kind of the leading edge of these the strong thunderstorm there, and then the cell that they're watching for the tornado warning is closer to the Waterville area. But what you're seeing on our screen directly in front of us is basically just to the west of Medford. So within that tornado warned area, this is part of that storm that's starting to make its way toward us, toward that I-35 corridor basically there. So we decided to hold back further off to the south, but this is the leading edge of that tornado warning. So a lot of people, oh man, there's a lot of people outside of their houses looking as the storm is on the approach. Not a good idea. They're watching this storm on the approach. Hopefully everyone does know to get inside and seek shelter, but what you're seeing here is the edge of that tornado warned storm just to the west of Medford, starting to make its way toward I-35. Obviously it's getting very dark, and then that tornado warned cell is just off to the north. So we're going to go ahead and pull over here shortly when we find a safe spot to do so, so that we can watch this cell pass by. It looks by to our north, but yeah, definitely seeing the dark sky starting to push in.
It is absolutely black there, Lisa. It's hard to tell if that's the camera lens doing that or if that's what it actually looks like. Ton of lightning too, huh?
No, it is. Yep. No, this is, it just went tonight, basically. It just went completely dark. So we're going to go ahead and pull over here. So again, we're at Medford, and just to the west of Medford, and we are facing to the west. So this is that tornado warned storm, that tornado warning box that you were just talking about there. Looks like the specific cell might be a little bit further to the north of us, making its way toward Faribault, but we see a lot of strong reflectivity here with this headed our way. So a lot of lightning, I'm sure also heavy rain associated with this as well.
All right, we are at Lake Harriet right now in Minneapolis, and I can tell you that right now, no rain, a little bit of lightning here in the distance. Bread and Pickle is back there if you're looking for a reference point here at Lake Harriet. But this vehicle behind me, well, it had a tree fall on it, this Infiniti, earlier today, most likely due to some gusty winds. You can see the damage to the hood there, as well as the windshield. It looks like they got it cleaned up before the heavier weather starts to move in. We're obviously watching the radar closely, and we've been listening as Chris and Mike have told us that this big line that's coming through is sort of split right now over the Twin Cities, and we're hoping it doesn't fill in, but we'll continue to watch and wait here right now at Lake Harriet.
We've got some hail video from earlier to show you, too. That was at a porch in Mankato about 4:30, so earlier today. We've had several reports of hail. Fortunately, that has been weakening. Unfortunately, we're still under the gun with the potential for tornadoes. Good news, everything off to the west. The tornado watch has been canceled, and you see we're still in it until 11 o'clock with these embedded tornado warnings down to the south. Let's take a closer look at the action down there to show you we've had numerous thunderstorms, severe thunderstorm warnings in the gold boxes. Obviously, the eye candy is the red shaded polygons. That's where we have active tornado warnings. Nothing confirmed on the ground, but you saw how dark the sky was getting out ahead of it with Lisa Meadows in the next weather tracker. Look at all the lightning. These are strong thunderstorms, not really producing hail at this point, but very gusty winds, especially at the leading edge of all of this. And then, of course, the sound and light show with the thunderstorms as well. You can see stripping away the lightning to give you a better look at the rain. Faribault, it's pouring now there. Owatonna knocking on your door, and right here in this area is where Lisa Meadow is. In fact, let's check back in with her right now in the next weather tracker with the latest along I-35. Lisa?
Yep, so we are just south of this here, but you saw the dark skies push in, and now we have pea-sized hail that is moving through. We have the heavy wind that is coming down as well, and obviously the strong winds thrown in there, a lot of lightning as well. It just basically went from day to night. You could even see the heavy rain being pushed in toward us. We're also getting some stronger wind gusts with this as well. And then my photojournalist, Nick Moonman, is saying we're seeing some pea-sized hail along with some of those stronger wind gusts as well.
Thanks, Lisa. Yeah, we appreciate the pictures. So Lisa, being a meteorologist, there are safer spots to be, and she's in one of them. This is live weather data from the next weather tracker, provided cell service is still working, and you can see that temperatures just before the rain started were in the upper 60s. Apparently it is working because we've dropped about 7 degrees just in the past 5 minutes, and those winds gusting at times 25 to 30 miles an hour. The storm on radar looks like this. So here is one tornado warning box. It includes Faribault and Medford, and then just in the past 3 minutes we had this new tornado warning box, which includes Owatonna. And what we're looking at here is not the traditional radar view, but this is the storm winds. This gives us a view inside the storm to see how it's moving. And we definitely have a lot of strong winds being blown out of the storm. There's sort of this jagged appearance here where red meets green, and that's sort of showing a wind shear area. Anywhere along this, we could potentially see a tornado briefly spin up. But for the most part, at this point, there's not anything that's looking like a smoking gun, suspicious here. It's just the potential for that. A tornado is possible imminently, which is why that tornado warning, those 2 tornado warnings have been issued, and this one here. We're in a scenario now where the tornadoes that do happen will happen quickly, they'll drop quickly, and they'll likely go back up into the cloud quickly. So in this scenario, the National Weather Service's strategy, our partners, is to warn a larger area to let people know that it's possible, and that getting a warning out fast enough to be useful in this scenario is almost not possible. So these bigger areas, I know it's a large area, Owatonna up toward Cannon City, even though there is just a chance for a tornado, it is still possible that one could hit quickly and imminently. And so you really do need to not be on your porch, not be looking out the windows. Certainly standing near a window is one of the worst places you could be, because even a straight line wind gust or a large hailstone could come through and cause that glass to turn into shrapnel. Of course, a new tornado warning now. What the National Weather Service has done is they have just sort of reconfigured this to better encompass the area where we have that threat. And again, this little notch here indicating that there's probably a little bit of rotation just to the south of Faribault, all moving off to the northeast pretty quickly. So, all right, Mike, what towns? Well, let's put a storm track on this area for you. And again, we'll look at that area as sort of the nexus of where some of the worst weather is. But really, this entire line is something that you need to take shelter for. So Faribault coming up in just the next 2 minutes. Right now, if you're hearing me and you're not in the basement, that is a mistake. Please go down into the basement or an interior room on the lowest level of your home, away from windows. So an interior closet or a bathroom are good choices. Cannon City, 551, strongest part of the storm headed toward Wheeling at 557. Cannon Falls at 617, provided it holds together. This whole storm has had a history of sort of pulsing up and down in intensity, and so that's why the warnings have been up and down. And actually what I would really like to do, since this entire thing has a warning on it, is just put a storm track on the entire thing. And this is going to bring us a lot of towns here, but this is sort of the way things are playing out today. So the wider view, not necessarily a tornado threat imminently, but a damaging thunderstorm threat, includes Stanton at 549. I mentioned Cannon Falls, Kenyon at 557, Leon at 603, Wanamingo at 607. If it holds together, Dodge Center and Red Wing between 612 and 615. And Casson at 621. The storm, again, at this point has both a tornado threat and a damaging straight line wind and large hail threat. As we move a little farther north, we'll check in again on the Twin Cities, and things have just really struggled. I think we're getting definitely some interference here with some of the storms going up around us, even though it is still pretty warm at 71 in downtown Minneapolis with a dew point of 64. And this storm that had a tornado warning on it earlier has moved into much more stable air. And so it really is areas south of the Twin Cities, like where our meteorologist Lisa Meadows is, that we are watching those storms go up and maintain their strength. Lisa.
Hi, Mike. Yep. So we decided to hold here just to the west of Medford. So what we've noticed, you saw those skies get really dark, obviously, and the storms continue to press through. Not seeing any rotation necessarily with this, but obviously seeing heavy rain. We have at least, I would say we have pea-sized hail out here, along with some of those stronger wind gusts thrown in there also. And that's mainly what we're seeing with this. It's still tornado warned, but the strongest reflectivity has already passed by us. But we're noticing the heavy rain, obviously, a lot of frequent lightning, and then we just have pea-sized hail associated with this storm as well. Again, we are located near Medford, and we are facing to the west. So the strongest reflectivity from this tornado warned storm has already pushed further off to our east.
Okay, and you can see the heavy rain that is associated with this line of storms as well. Not to be overlooked, your car could easily hydroplane. It is coming down at a rapid clip. It's not going to last long as far as storm activity is concerned, but it's present, and really all severe factors are in play still, and that will be the case until it finally clears. Lisa, right in the heart of it, of course, near Faribault, in the next weather tracker, where the tornado warning has been, I'll say, stretched, essentially, because we've had reports of funnel clouds activity, so I just heard another siren. Okay, that's the severe thunderstorm warning out ahead of it as well. But parts of Rice and Goodhue counties, if you haven't been outside lately, I just got our almanac report. We did get up to 72 degrees. In fact, it was in the upper 60s near Faribault, and Mike Augustinak just told me the temperature dropped down to 52. That's almost a 20-degree drop once that line has arrived. And you can see right now the lightning, strong, in fact, severe thunderstorms. Nothing confirmed on the ground. And yes, Lisa Meadows is a trained meteorologist. She is in a safe place monitoring the situation down there. But we've been talking about all this energy pushing toward the east-northeast at about 50 miles per hour. This is why when we tell you to get in the basement, it's better to be safe than sorry. Things are developing so quickly, there isn't much lead time if a tornado does indeed drop and is on the ground. But you see the active severe thunderstorm warnings. These are the tornado warnings out ahead of it. Rotation, it's hit or miss. You can see we're getting some stronger rotation now east of Owatonna. That's how rapidly that system is moving. It's jumped across 35 already and will continue its trek toward the east. Things have quieted down considerably to the north. We dodged it here in the Twin Cities. We're kind of split with thunderstorms to the north and the strongest ones to the south. Not quite going to say we're in the all clear yet, but things are looking promising that it won't be. As far as people to the south, Owatonna, Faribault, eventually pushing toward Cannon Falls, Hastings, Red Wing, into Wisconsin. All the main factors are still in play. We could still see tornadoes fire up here, wind damage, especially at the leading edge, and of course some very heavy rain that will follow as well. In fact, I can show you with future radar what we're expecting over the next hour or so. It's clear. We could see a few isolated showers and maybe rogue thunderstorms pop up behind it, but by 8:45, that line is in southeastern Minnesota, pushing deeper into Wisconsin, and that's it. Things will clear out, and by tomorrow, look at this. We'll start with some clouds, and then we'll go to sunshine. Let's go to meteorologist Mike Augustinak with more.
All right, thanks, Chris. Yeah, there's that next weather tracker report where Lisa is down to 51, winds still gusting at a respectable 25 to 30 miles an hour. The storm that is moving through, it's now obviously dropped the cold air onto that area, and so some hail still possible, but the severe weather threat is going down by the minute. This area, though, of kind of bumpy reflectivity on the radar radar is the area that has the best chance to spin up one of those brief tornadoes that Chris has been talking about. And that's the deal with this National Weather Service warning strategy. You know, we actually just had an exercise with our partners at the National Weather Service about 2 weeks ago where they went over how their warning strategy would be deployed this season in order to give the biggest heads up for the biggest potential area. And each one of these little bright green pixels next to red pixels, especially this right here, that's about to move toward Kenyon in the next 10 minutes, that's where a tornado could spin up for literally 30 seconds and then pull back into the storm, not really making a point-specific warning realistic in that brief amount of time. So that's why we have this more widespread warning strategy. And so that's meaning that, yes, Kenyon, this storm could go by. It could just give you some strong straight line winds. It could potentially bring you some large hail, or it could produce a tornado. And that's why the tornado warning is in effect for you. So don't take your chances. Just be safe. This is 30 minutes of your life. That is really not a big deal to get into the basement or your safe spot. Let it pass by. And then with any luck, things will be okay. And you can go on about your evening. But this is a very strong radar signature indicating either some rotation or some strong straight line winds, that rain-cooled air dropping out of the thunderstorm, hitting the ground and then spreading out, sort of like when you turn on a faucet and it hits the bottom of the sink and it spreads out in a circle. That's what's going on here. West Concord, Claremont, you're under a severe thunderstorm warning for now, but that may change. That could be upgraded because just upstream, including areas now just to the east of Owatonna, is that tornado warning. This line of storms has grown a little bit and extended northward. We're not checking in with Jonah Kaplan at this moment because there's a thunderstorm now in Hastings and a heavy downpour. That is the storm sort of growing northward into what has been a little less favorable air mass here in the Twin Cities for severe thunderstorm development. But as Chris said, we're not quite ready to sound the all clear yet. The tornado watch that's in effect for the metro and points east until 11 o'clock almost certainly will start to be canceled from west to east as we go through the next few hours. But again, this is an hour or two out of your life. There is no harm in just respecting the watches and the warnings and giving yourself that time until you're absolutely sure that things have quieted down. Northern Minnesota, this is an area that did initially this morning when you were watching meteorologist Joseph Dames have a severe weather risk, but the way things have played out today, that has not materialized, and I feel comfortable saying it will not materialize. Temperatures up here are cooler in rain-cooled air and will be cooler tomorrow, but in general, once all of this mess goes by about 10 or 11 o'clock tonight, things start to dry out quickly, and we actually have a pretty nice Tuesday and rest of the week on the boards. And of course, we'll bring you that 7-day forecast when some of the more immediate concerns are gone. And for a little more about that, we do want to talk with Frank and Amelia.
Yeah. All right, Mike, you were just showing us a map there of the severe weather that was moving in. Of course, this is Northfield, and that was on the map there. This is a live camera from St. Olaf. You can see it looks a little, I don't know if that's the camera that's foggy, but I did see flashes of lightning going on through there. Look, right there. We want to remind you again some important reminders of what to do, though. If a tornado, during a tornado, if it strikes, if you're at home, be sure to go to the basement or an interior room. You want to stay away from windows. If you're outside, seek some indoor shelter, but just remember that sheds and storage facilities are not safe, so don't go there. If you are driving, seek indoor shelter if it's at all possible. If there's a ditch, go to a low-lying ditch, or you get down and cover your head if you're in the car.
Let's get to Lisa Meadows. Are you still in that Medford area, Lisa, or have you gone ahead and moved a little bit?
So the main storm line has pressed off to our east. So here's a look. We're actually headed, we are in the Medford area. That's correct. We're actually just continuing to head north, and we're near so we're basically right along I-35, but we're headed north. We're trying to get back onto I-35. But the tornado warned storm has pushed off to our east, so we're back behind it. We have some of the heavy rain still in place. That tornado warned storm did move by our vicinity, and we did not see any rotation or anything. But to be honest, with this type of a setup, this was not that supercell type of situation out ahead of a squall line where you would have been able to see a tornado anyways. This is just a line of heavy rain, lots of thunder, some pea-sized hail that just kind of blows through. So right now you can see we're getting back on I-35. I-35, and we're about to head north toward the Faribault area. We are to the south of Faribault, which is to our east is where there's the one tornado warning we showed you earlier, where that heavy rain and also the pea-sized hail did move through. And then also just to the east of Faribault is where we have some of the stronger, that one tornado warning that is still in place. To the east of I-35 is now where it looks like the strongest reflectivity is, and it looks like the National Weather Service did just issue another tornado warning just to the east of Walcott there.
All right, Lisa, thank you. We're also getting reports of power outages that have now eclipsed the 6,500 mark. Homes without power. This is why it's important always to have a cell phone in your hands during severe weather so you can still get updates if you've lost power with your televisions or anything like that. Here's the wide look. Again, beneficial rain to the north. This is the area we've been focused on. Now we're starting to see some tornado, possible tornado action down south of the border in Iowa, where it's much warmer and much more humid. You can see this strong line, and out ahead of it is where we have the tornado warnings. This is a better safe than sorry scenario. We're still picking up rotation. Nothing confirmed on the ground, but certainly if you live heading toward Red Wing and areas like that, just take it downstairs. Be safe. Stay with us, of course. We'll keep you updated. We'll bring you in a little closer to the area from Owatonna. Now, Cannon Falls is starting to rain heavily in your area. Northfield, it's been raining heavily. And I want to focus on this area right here just to give you a 3D look. Airplanes travel at around 30,000 feet. These storm heights are eclipsing that. This is the kind of storm activity that airplanes go around because they're smart and know that there's some serious updrafts, and that's why we've had reports of the rotation and the hail and everything associated with it. Right now, strong winds, obviously, along the leading edge. It's very warm, 73. It's very humid. You know that if you've been outside. And we'll still have a rain threat into the night, but it's just that. Some scattered showers, not the severe stuff we've been covering for the past several hours now. Let's bring you closer to home. I know there was big concern in the Twin Cities metro area for hail right during the rush hour. We'll go to Derek James, who's out in the field near Lake Harriet. What's happening, Derek?
Well, right now, Chris, with all that energy from the storms to the north and south of us, it's very, very quiet here, very humid, but there isn't even a breeze right now. It's actually quite buggy because of that humidity in the air. Not seeing many runners or walkers. There's still a few out here. We're now starting to see to the west of us, seeing some flashes of lightning pretty far off in the distance, but earlier today, we must have had some gustier winds than we have right now, because you can see this tree that came down over the roadway here. It actually fell onto this Infinity SUV that you see, and there was damage to both the front end and back end of that vehicle. But crews were out here a few hours ago cleaning that up before that big line moves in. We'll continue to watch things here, but not a lot of changes, as it's just very humid, and we are starting to get a little more of a rumble of thunder from the west and seeing a few flashes of lightning in the distance. Mike?
All right, thanks, Derek. Yeah, we're going to actually take you to 35 northbound, just near Owatonna. These are people doing the exact wrong thing, crowding under an overpass, which can cause traffic accidents and be more harmful, obviously, than some hail. So we actually hate to see this, but that's what's happening right now on 35 northbound. The conditions on the roads are also slippery with all that heavy rain that fell. Obviously, slick pavement is harder to stop on than dry pavement. And when it's actively raining, that hydroplaning, we had a spokesperson from MnDOT earlier today say that hydroplaning and wet roads can actually be more slippery than snowy roads can be. We still have no drops of rain falling in downtown Minneapolis, although definitely some gathering storm clouds on the south horizon here. 71 on the rooftop, and this is what caught my eye, these two things combined. Whenever a cold front goes by, which is the driver or one of the drivers of severe weather, atmospheric pressure goes up. Also, winds shift around to the northwest. So we may be starting to see some cooler air move in, signaling the tail end of this severe weather threat in downtown Minneapolis, at least. Dew point, though, still at 64. The temperature has not fallen yet. So that's arguing that what we may actually be seeing is a weak front, sort of out ahead of the main front. You can see winds across most of the metro are still coming in from the south and southeast. So we are still on the warm side of things and still have at least about an hour or so before we can sound the all clear, I think, here in the Twin Cities. The radar has been very, very quiet. Notice that storm that went up over northwestern Hennepin County. That one just fizzled. There has been some inhibiting mechanism that has been really kind of acting like a force field right over the metro core, while just to our south we have a widespread area and a long-lived area of destructive thunderstorms. Severe thunderstorm warning extends kind of all the way from about just south of Cannon City, down 35 through Albert Lea to the border with Iowa. This is mostly a wind and hail threat here, but there are still two active tornado warnings right here for this storm that just has not shown any signs of giving up. This is a long-lived supercell, I believe, with quite a bit of spinning air motion. So that rotation is indicating that it's a very healthy storm. This green indicating air that's sort of curling around Kenyon and headed up toward the radar site, which is up here on the top of your screen. This red area here showing air that's kind of curling down toward West Concord, and that circulation is really sustaining the strength of this storm, and that's the area and the reason why we have the potential for a tornado and why those tornado warnings are in effect. So let me tell you, first of all, that this larger tornado warning area goes until 6:30 for parts of Goodhue and Rice counties, and then we have this smaller area sort of nested in between or in the middle that goes until 6:15. Let me put a storm track on this most dangerous area, this rotating area of the storm, and we'll track that for you, but also keep in mind that the tornado threat today isn't the only thing that we're concerned with. The hail has been large and persistent, and also we have seen some stronger wind gusts as well. So the times of arrival and communities include Kenyon at 6:04, so really now you should be moving to your shelter. Actually, you should be there already. Wanamingo at 6:16, Mineola at 6:19, and Goodhue at 6:28. Again, the storm moving off to the northeast, and it has maintained its strength for 2 hours. There's nothing about the area it's moving into right now that gives me any indication that it's going to be falling apart rapidly. So we need to really keep on top of that, which of course we will. But if you're anywhere in this Hastings, Red Wing, well, Hastings is probably a little too far north, but we'll say Red Wing to Winona area, you're not done yet, and you won't be for probably a couple more hours. We've cleared things out on the backside of this storm system, and we're starting to cool things down. Nice sunset right now. Marshall to Redwood Falls and Granite Falls to the north. We still have some locally heavy rain moving across the North Shore, and this area of more showery precipitation in and around Fargo. This is likely going to be mixing with some wet snow and sleet as it tracks across northern Minnesota as we go through the overnight tonight. And that means that it's going to be a little bit of a wintry end to this severe weather threat, at least up north. Again, our rainfall reports: Wadena, 2.9 inches from Margaret. Cohasset, this is a new report from Bob, 2 1/3 or 2 3/10 inches of rain. Akeley, this is another new report. Thanks, John, for that. 1.81 inches of rain. In Glenwood, 1.5 inches or a little more. And in Zimmerman, Karen reporting 1.3 inches of rain. Another area that's been getting a lot of heavy rain, not so much on this map because everybody is hopefully sheltering, is to our south, and that's where meteorologist Lisa Meadows has the next weather tracker. Lisa, where are you now? What are you seeing?
So we are just near the Faribault region right now. We're getting off I-35 and we're starting to head east here on Highway 60. So this is back behind the storm. So this is headed directly from behind the storm, headed toward it. So in Faribault, our current direction is headed east, and that is where that tornado warning is in place, the one you were just talking about out into Kenyon. So back behind the storm, we have those temperatures that have dropped down. We're down to the 60s. We have the rain in place, and also not noticing any hail necessarily anymore, but we've noticed a big air mass noticeable difference once those storms did come through. Now we are seeing a lot of lightning with this storm continue to push off, and again, this is the storm that he was just pointing out, tornado warned across the Kenyon region. We are behind that, but we are headed toward it because it is to our east off in Faribault, and a lot of lightning still associated with this as well. Kind of a big tornado warning for this storm that we did see push through. That brought pea-sized hail, of course, strong winds, and then also that heavy rain and a lot of lightning as well. So we're going to continue to head from behind the storm toward that Kenyan region to see just what this storm has continued to bring for us. Now we'll toss it back to Frank and Amelia.
All right, Lisa, thank you. We want to give you another shot near Faribault as well. We were all taken with just how dark it is between the shot of our weather tracker that Lisa and Nick are in, and then these cameras as well. And you might have also noticed right as we started speaking, big flashes of lightning there, which she keeps reporting as well.
And we're going to take this live shot from Hastings. We heard Mike talking about that. The storms are going to be moving in. He says it's going to be active there probably for a couple of hours, at least storms in that area. Of course, this is where Jonah Kaplan, our reporter, is. He was talking to the family. Jonah, and the wind was picking up. It was pretty heavy when we last went to him, and he's joining us now. Jonah, does it looks pretty calm right now?
Well, it's remarkable because I have to hand it to photojournalist Ben Harper, who's sitting next to me. He set this camera up under an overpass, and we're pointing it right across the river. And I want you to just see kind of where that line of clouds is. And right on behind the camera, what you can't see is the storm coming. I'm looking at a lot of lightning right now. I am listening to thunder, and there's heavy rain. And the reason you're seeing the camera and not us is because we're inside a car. The camera's replaceable. My photojournalist, Ben Harper, is not. And so we wanted to be somewhere very safe and somewhere where we can see and communicate to you what is happening. And there's more lightning. You're seeing it more frequently within probably 10 to 15 seconds of each other, and the amount of time between the lightning and the thunder is also decreasing, which tells me, of course, that this is moving closer, because usually if you see that lightning and then it's a long time for the thunder, that's the speed of sound, and it takes some time for it to travel here. But that is not the case. We're watching it come now, and lightning strikes, yes, every 10 to 15 seconds.
Yeah, it is deceiving because it looks peaceful, and obviously we can't hear the thunder.
Yeah, don't lose Ben, because pay attention to what Chris is going to say, because Hastings is in the crosshairs, right, Chris?
Yeah, let me show you what's happening right now. In fact, on live radar, I can show you. Here's Jonah, and here's Ben, who is not replaceable. Let's emphasize that. The thunderstorms are passing to the south. Nothing severe, but as Jonah mentioned, look at the lightning strikes. It is a strong thunderstorm. It is pouring just south of Hastings, and all these storms, this has been the case all day long. They're moving at about 50 miles per hour, which is very fast. Oftentimes when we're tracking storms, they're in the 25 to 35 mile per hour range. So they hit fast and furious. The strongest storms continue to be to the south. We've been tracking this for quite some time. We did have some dust ups up near St. Cloud earlier this afternoon. Everything's quieted down from the Twin Cities on north, but you can see the severe thunderstorm warnings. We still have a couple active tornado warnings. Nothing confirmed on the ground, but these storms have exhibited rotation since they were on the other side of 35, and the National Weather Service is not going to wave the all-clear signal because we keep picking up on rotation near Kenyon, heading toward Goodhue, eventually Red Wing, and this is kind of the tail end of it. But I'm going to strip away all the radar data so you can see specifically if you live in these areas from Pine Island to Goodhue, Red Wing, go to the basement, go to your safe spot. If you're watching at work, get to a safe spot wherever your workplace is, because these are strong and dangerous storms, and they have exhibited rotation throughout the afternoon and into the evening hours. But you can see the severe thunderstorm warning still in effect. Owatonna is still pouring just south of Owatonna, and I'm going to zoom it out just to kind of show you the storm reports. It's been primarily hail, oftentimes pea-size. At times it's eclipsed 1.5 inches in diameter. We've had some wind reports as well. And here's the line. Things are quiet now. In fact, look at the sun is shining in Wilmer, Marshall, and Worthington. All clear there, but still not, especially south of the metro. Let's go back to meteorologist Mike Augustinek.
And while we'd all love to be in Wilmer right now, the reason we're here with you is because we know you may not be out of the woods yet. So let's reset and talk about what's still to come over the next few hours. Thanks for sticking with us here on CBS News Minnesota and on WCCO. This gold-shaded area, the yellow boxes or the yellow counties, are tornado watch counties, and these go until 11 o'clock, except I will give you the caveat that that that's probably not actually going to happen. Already, the first tornado watch that came out earlier today has been canceled as the storms roared through quickly across southwestern Minnesota. And the same is likely to happen west to east in sort of a county line by county line fashion over the next few hours as the back edge of this current wave of severe weather moves through. It extends up toward Pine County and Mille Lacs County. There has been little to no indication that severe weather is going to actually develop here, although we're keeping a close eye on it for you. What is more likely and what we have seen is that the severe weather that Chris was showing you south of the immediate metro area will likely continue and maintain its strength as it moves toward the Mississippi Valley and into southeastern Minnesota. The metro has been excluded from this big severe weather threat as well. We tried to get a few thunder showers and downpours going, but there's been some inhibiting factor, likely in the mid-levels of the atmosphere, that has prevented these storms from really taking off. This is what we, perhaps you heard the term even going back to yesterday with Lisa, would refer to as a conditional threat, which means there's some point where if we can get storms past that point and they actually take off, they'll become strong to severe. The question is in exactly how many communities those storms are able to take off. We have had not only tornado spin-ups and funnel clouds and wall clouds, which is the precursor to a tornado, but also we've had a ton of hail with this line that continues and will continue as it moves off to the east. Widespread, massive severe thunderstorm warning in effect for that hail threat. In fact, I'm seeing that Steele County saw up to, looks like about 2-inch diameter hail reported from the National Weather Service. That was about 6 miles east of Lemond in Steele County. That picture just coming in. And again, we'll effort getting that to you to share it with you on the air. We've also seen widespread penny to quarter size hail in and around Faribault. So this area, even though the tornado threat did not end up becoming quite as widespread, will still likely be cleaning up some damage as we go through the rest of the night tonight into tomorrow. This is the one remaining storm, at least as of now, that has a tornado threat still with it. That's why we have this tornado warning that includes Goodhue, Zumbrota, Pine Island, and at least for the next minute and a half, Kenyon. Although I'll be honest with you, Kenyon, this tornado threat looks to me to have moved past you. But this rotation here, broad at times, but also at times it's been able to get a little more focused, and that indicates the potential for a tornado. At least the possibility that a tornado could drop from the cloud base and touch the ground. That has been continuing for hours on end. And again, this is moving off to the northeast, about to cross Highway 52 at about 40 miles an hour. So again, there's no scientific reason, no meteorological reason why this, even though the warning does not include Red Wing right now, would not be able to continue over the next 30 to 60 minutes as it continues up toward the Red Wing direction. So if you're here, Red Wing, if you're watching us in Lake City, this is one to pay closer attention to than maybe you do on a typical day. All right, if there's a warning, we'll bring it to you for sure. But for now, just start to think about what you're going to do if a warning is issued for your area. As we continue to see this line move to the south and east, again, you're looking here at the Twin Cities sort of on the backside of all of this rainfall. The potential that we see anything develop here in the metro over the next hour or so is pretty slim at this point, but we're still going to continue to watch it for you. Chris mentioned this. These are the severe weather reports. What we have up north is some heavy rain reports. Here to the south and to the west, there are some pretty large hail reports. We'll have some time to dig into these over the next few hours. I expect more to be issued and to populate on the map as we go through the next several hours. But again, this is all over probably, Frank and Amelia, certainly within the next 4 hours or so. And if you're watching us in the Twin Cities out towards St. Cloud and Wilmer, it's pretty much over now, setting us up for a pretty nice week of weather ahead.
Well, that's a relief.
Yeah, it is. Thank you, Mike. You heard Mike talking about the hail over in Faribault. We're going to take you there. We're actually video that was taken there earlier, so we can see the dark skies there looking very ominous. It looks like this is when the storm started moving in.
Yeah, really dark. We also have a photo that we wanted to share with you. Our crew taking some shelter. That's Ari Mendoza in the foreground and Kirsten Mitchell in the background. They had a run into a grocery store cooler because things were getting a little hairy. Kirsten, are you in Faribault right now? Can you hear me? What happened? You guys obviously saw something you didn't like and wanted to get somewhere safe.
Yeah, that's right. We're all safe. Everyone is good here. We're still at this grocery store. This is Fairway. This is the cooler that we were sheltering in was inside this grocery store. And what happened was we were doing our last live shot and the sirens were going off that there was a tornado warning. And that's when we saw that really ominous sky and just knew we had to take shelter. So graciously, I mean, these employees were incredible. They let us in. They let anyone in and they said, hey, come back to the cooler. There was about 15 of us kind of huddling back there as the sky out here was getting very dark, a lot of precipitation. I don't know if there was hail personally. I didn't see it myself because we were sheltering inside, but now you can see the sky starting to lighten behind me. That is a really nice sign because earlier, I mean, it looked like it was nighttime. The street lights you can see are on and sunset's not until, you know, after 8 p.m. So it really did get dark and kind of scary out here. So that's why we took shelter, which is, you know, what you're supposed to do in this situation. Now that system is moving to the west. We're seeing quite a bit of lightning. That's a system that is continuing to march through this area, but we are okay here in Faribault, and that system just moving on to the next area. So, Chris, I know you're tracking that as well.
Yeah, it's an impressive line of thunderstorms we've been watching since they were born back in extreme southwestern Minnesota. But they're moving rather quickly, about 50 miles per hour, and you can see the active tornado warnings. That's Doppler indicated. We're still picking up rotation, but nothing is on the ground that we're tracking. But look at this widespread net of severe thunderstorm warnings as well because of the hail that oftentimes is coming down pea size, but at times has been more sizable, as we've been talking about. Here's a look at what I call the hail tracks. You see the history of the hail, and anytime they get into these shades of blue and green, that's when they're approaching quarter size to golf ball size. And we've had several reports, several pictures of people holding the hail in their hands with quarters for reference. Thank you. I appreciate that. It gives us a real good idea of what's going on. Here's the current hail areas. This is really small. This is pea size. It could be coming down like rain or snow. I hate to mention that word. But we have some more sizable hail south of Owatonna that's just skipped across 35. I'm sure a lot of motorists were having issues with that. Remember, do not stop under underpasses. That's an extremely dangerous situation. You're better off continuing to drive out of the cell, especially with them moving in this west to east fashion. Here in the Twin Cities, pretty spared. Not much to talk about. We've had some severe weather when it was back near St. Cloud. It has now just become garden variety thunderstorms, basically. This is the line we'll continue to watch. I'll show you on future radar what we plan for that to do. It will skirt off to the east by 9 o'clock tonight. By our 10 o'clock news, it'll be a memory. It'll be gone. In fact, everything will weaken after sunset as well. A few spotty showers are possible overnight. And then we get into the day tomorrow, and by 7 o'clock in the morning, most of us are dealing with sunshine. Mike talked about this a few minutes ago. We're in for a very nice day tomorrow. You'll appreciate the humidity will be scoured out of here as drier air comes in. Temperatures will fall back to the 50s and the 60s as well. And I want to give you the 7-day forecast because it's a pretty nice week once we get through the next couple of hours. Upper 60s on Wednesday with more sunshine. We do have some scattered showers possible when the Wild are back in action against the Knights, the Golden Knights. This is not going to be severe. Don't worry about that. And look, as we head into the weekend, we're talking about highs climbing up into the 70s this weekend. We might even hit 80 on Monday. So once we get through the rough stuff in the next couple of hours, we've got a pretty beautiful week on tap. Let's go back to Lisa Meadows now. She's been down in the heart of it from Albert Lee to Faribault and Owatonna. I can hear the rain. You can see the wiper action. Lisa, in the next weather tracker, what's the latest?
Hi, yep. So we're to the east of Faribault, where you did hear Kirsten Mitchell did take shelter from what was a tornado warning storm at the time. That has since passed. Our current location is along Minnesota 60, and we're on the approach to Kenyon. So what you're seeing in front of us is that storm that was tornado warned. That tornado warning has passed to the east of Kenyon, but it is still tornado warned to the east of that area. But there's also a severe thunderstorm warning that's coming up from the south, and that's for some of that hail thrown in there as well. And you can see some reflectivity on that radar structure. What we're seeing here on the ground, obviously seeing the heavy rain, a lot of lightning still associated with this, but not necessarily seeing any hail just yet. But again, we are headed east along Minnesota 60, headed toward Kenyon right now. back behind that tornado warning storm. And then that severe thunderstorm warning that was near the Owatonna area is moving, the tornado or severe thunderstorm warning box is moving to the northeast a little bit. So some of that heavier rain and even some hail, something that we'll have to watch for here as we continue to head east.
All right, thanks, Lisa. Appreciate your report and reporting as always. I want to actually bring up Lisa's weather sensor on the roof of the next weather tracker, and that's coming up in a second. The rain has definitely cooled things in that area. So again, it's pretty hard to get tornado spin-ups with temperatures near 53 degrees. They're moving, so this wind, we actually do subtract the motion of the vehicle from this wind, but this is probably a little bit off. Bottom line is that the next weather tracker, winds have not been a huge issue so far, but hail has been, and Lisa mentioned that. A lot of reports of hail in the Kenyon area, in the Faribault area, and this is the area that we're focused in on here, or at least downstream from that now, where the storms have moved to. And this is still a very, very it's a storm that's sustained its strength. It's a very persistent storm with rotation still being picked up here. The strongest part of the storm and likely the most dangerous part of the storm now just moving into the Goodhue area from Zumbrota. This is the wind view, which again is showing what direction raindrops are being blown by the storm. And with that, it's sort of like X-ray vision inside the storm to see how healthy it is and what it may be capable of doing. There's still a tornado warning on it, and it's also been showing no signs of weakening in another way, which is the lightning. This is probably a little less intense than it was 2 hours ago, with lightning strikes, though, still hitting pretty frequently. This thing is maintaining its strength, even though we're getting a little later into the day, a little later into the evening. It looks to me like it's going to hold together, and a new warning will likely be issued downstream to include Red Wing and Maiden Rock, and that is likely, not a guarantee, but likely to be a tornado warning. So I think what I should do here is probably put a storm track on this for you instead of just talking about it. I'm going to show and tell. And again, I'll put this first storm track on the most dangerous part of that storm, which is where that little notch is, just to the east of Goodhue. Here are the towns that, regardless of whether there's a warning currently in effect for you or not, you should be taking shelter right now because there is the potential of damaging winds, damaging hail, or potentially even a tornado. And that includes Belvedere in about 7 minutes at 6:30. The Rush River Delta State Park, I think that is. If you happen to know anybody that's out there hiking or enjoying the afternoon, maybe give them a call, give them a text, tell them, hey, you should get inside to a sturdy shelter. Oh, I see. Delta State Natural Area. Forgive me, did not read the whole thing. Maiden Rock, 6:45. We have Weather Watcher in Maiden Rock. Jan, make sure that you're in the basement, if you have one, or an interior room or closet. Same advice for our weather watchers as for everybody. Again, no picture, no photo, no video is worth you potentially getting hurt. The storm continues, I think, toward the Plum City area at 6:54, and then Durand, Wisconsin at 7:05. Again, if it happens to hold together at that point, and we'll see, because it has been a long-lived storm. Here's the rest of what's going on. This was an area of individual thunderstorm cells when this line was well back off to the west when you and I first started talking around 4 o'clock this afternoon. It's now turned into a line, which in this case right now looks to be bringing a hail threat with it and a strong straight line wind threat with it. You can see the leading edge of the line now moving a little more south of due east. So Dodge Center, Ellendale, and areas around Wells getting hit with the strongest part of the storm now or within the past few minutes. However, there are more communities downwind that are in the path of this storm, and so I'll put a storm track on it for you, and we'll move this one a little more due east at about 50 miles an hour. So again, this isn't necessarily the tornado threat. This is the larger scale severe thunderstorm, hail, and wind threat, which also needs to be taken seriously today. Casson, 6:29, there's the potential for a severe thunderstorm. Byron at 6:36. Albert Lee, where Lisa was but no longer is, at 6:43. And Rochester at 6:49. We have a new tornado warning that just came out, and so let's take a look at this. Oh, this is the area I was just warning you about. So these are the same communities that I just mentioned. Now a tornado warning in effect for you. This tornado warning includes Keister, Foster, Albert Lee, Glenville, and Clarks Grove. And this one goes until 7 o'clock. It's also got the potential, as you can see, for up to golf ball size hail. This is a radar indicated tornado. There are storm spotters out there, and they're likely watching this to see if it does or is able to put a tornado onto the ground. But for now, it's radar indicated, something, Frank and Amelia, that you should still take seriously, even though, you know, some people sometimes see these and think, well, that's not a real tornado. It could happen at any moment on a day like today.
Helpful information, Mike. Thanks. We want to give you a live look at part of what Mike was talking about as well. This is Highway 52 as we're looking southbound near Cannon Falls, heading towards Zumbrota. And you can see, as we've seen all afternoon, lots of lightning in these photos and in these traffic cameras.
And we want to go back and join Jonah Kaplan and photographer Ben Harper, who are in Hastings. And last time we saw them, Jonah was talking about the lightning and the thunder that was going on, looking ominous. It still looks very dark there. You guys still in the car? It looks like you changed your position, Jonah.
We did very carefully. We ran out, turned it around, ran right back into the car just to give you a view, because, and let's remind people, why are we here? We're here so that you at home don't have to be, to give you the idea of what's happening and how serious this is. Not to make a show of it, but because of, again, the severity of the situation and why it matters to you and your family. And where we are positioned, we also want to show, you know, sometimes you think, well, what's around downtown? Here's a little power substation, and there's a lightning rod right in the front of it. We've been watching the lightning, which is, again, the distance and the amount of time in between the lightning and the thunder is getting greater now, so we think the storm is moving out of the way. But lightning can strike anywhere and make any kinds of problems, and that's something we're talking with emergency officials about, and we hope to get an update from them soon.
All right, Jonah, thank you for the thank you for the update.
Yeah, we're going to go to Chris now for the latest. Hi there, Chris.
Hi, yeah, let's kind of wrap it up with what's, this is what was. We had the thunderstorms we watched earlier that cranked out several hail reports, also up around the St. Cloud area, some wind damage here and there. We've had several tornado warnings, but very few that were confirmed on the ground at all by trained spotters. This is the what is at the moment. Our focus is here in the Twin Cities. We got lucky. Things split and went to the north and south with most of the energy to the south. Mike Augustinak was just telling you we're concerned about the area of what will be out ahead of the current tornado warning. This is Doppler indicated. We're still picking up rotation. Nothing confirmed on the ground, and we just extended the severe thunderstorm warning out ahead of it. Makes sense because these are not showing any signs of weakening. Very heavy rain coming your way, some strong winds, especially at this leading edge. It's called the gust front, and you see the lightning as well. So strong to severe thunderstorms, and we'll keep an eye on the possible rotation that's heading toward Goodhue, and eventually we'll be heading toward places like Menominee and Eau Claire. And we also had the recent tornado warning, again, Doppler indicated to the south. We've been watching thunderstorms pop down in Iowa. All of that is moving to the east. The cold front you see trailing back in western, southwestern Minnesota, that's going to usher in the drier and much more comfortable air, and that's going to feel good because it's warmed up into the 70s. It's very humid out there with dew points in the 60s. That dry air will drop those dew points likely back into the 40s, much more comfortable for tomorrow. We're still watching this area. You see the tornado watch that includes the Twin Cities. This will likely drop shortly. They will hold until 11 o'clock, certainly in western Wisconsin and southeastern Minnesota, where we continue to see the tornado warnings as well as the severe thunderstorm warnings. The rest of the week looks really nice. You can expect sunshine returning tomorrow with highs in the low 60s, and it's going to get very warm by next weekend. We're going to take you to Wheel of Fortune, but you can stay with us. CBS News Minnesota, go there. We'll continue to cover the nasty stuff until we can finally say all clear. Thanks for watching and staying safe.